Dune 2 recap done by yours truly right now. Thanks for checking out another episode of Watch Stuff with us. I'm JD, and please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button right now, or else I'm just going to sit here. No, actually, I'm kidding. I'm going to review the second Dune movie by reacting to a video that's actually recapping it, because it'd be a whole lot for me to just sit there and recap everything. So I'm going to let somebody else do a little bit of the heavy lifting, and then I'm going to chime in and give my thoughts on it too. If you like what you see or you want to give your thoughts, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and drop a comment, and you can talk about it with us. So without further ado, let's get this going. So this recap is Dune 2 in under 5 minutes, and we're going to watch it and talk about it. Let's get it started.
Part 2 builds on the first installment and further explores power, religion, and family themes. Click the like button at any time if you enjoyed this video. At the center of the Dune saga is Paul Atreides, who has integrated with a group of Fremen along with his mother, Lady.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I've already done a recap for the first Dune movie. So if you happen to see that one and want to hear my thoughts on it, go and check out that video.
Jessica. The Fremen are a tribal society split by two opposing beliefs. Some view Paul as their long-awaited prophet. They call him Lisan al-Gaib. Others
Lisan al-Gaib. I love the way that rolls off the tongue, man. Especially the way they say it at the very end of the movie after he survives his battle with his cousin. And I know we're gonna get into that. So yeah, full spoilers if you aren't sure. Like, this is gonna be completely full of spoilers. If you haven't seen any of the movies, it does not really make a whole lot of sense to watch this stream unless you are okay with being spoiled. So this is your warning. But yeah, I loved after he had after he kills his cousin, the guy says, Lisan al Gaib. Like, I knew it. Like, I knew he was gonna do it. That was one of my favorite parts of the second movie. But I'll let the recap continue.
awaited prophet. They call him Lisan al-Gaib. Others see this prophecy as a mere southern belief. Paul and Jessica know the believers were indoctrinated by centuries of Bene Gesserit propaganda, which implanted the myth of the Messiah. After drinking the
Now they say they implanted the myth of the Messiah. How do you transition from implementing a myth? Like, I could just come up with a myth and then start telling people about it, and they could start believing it. But what do you do when the myth actually starts coming true? So did you create this myth and then turn it into reality, or does this all just so happen to be following along with everything that was in the myth? Like, I think that's one of the cool questions that's posed by this this book series that has been turned into a movie and now into a TV show.
life, which is extracted from a baby worm, Jessica becomes the Fremen's Reverend Mother, the highest religious authority within the tribe. This event also affects her unborn child, making the fetus, Aliyah, fully sentient.
Now, that was a weird part for me because I didn't quite understand in the beginning how they were having these conversations with this fetus. And I was like, is it because of the spice that's doing this, or like what's happening here? But yeah, the fetus, even at a very, very, very small age, was like fully sentient and talking and having conversations about things. And of course, they could only hear it. But I was like, is this real? Like, is she tripping? Or is this like something that's actually happening? And I guess it was legit. So I thought that was a interesting way to get some exposition taken care of by having this fetus explain it.
Meanwhile, Paul rises as one of the Fremen's best fighters. Jessica, Aliyah, and Paul are exposed to high levels of spice in the desert, enhancing their visions and supernatural abilities. The geopolitics of Arrakis become more important in Part 2. Dune, the planet, is divided into two poles. The north is controlled by the
Pretty sure that's not the planet of Dune. That's actually the planet of Jupiter, but it's okay.
Harkonnens, where they harvest spice. The South is considered uncharted and uncontrollable. Despite that, Jessica wants to journey there to unite the Fremen and fulfill the prophecy. Religion and superstitions are key in Paul's rise among the Fremen. The Southern Fremen, seen as fanatic fundamentalists, are more likely to embrace Paul as the Messiah. Before they journey south, Jessica skillfully exploits manufactured superstition and cultural
And as the show has gone on, or at least as the movies went on, seeing Jessica sort of change and transition to almost not really like not really a bad character, but I definitely get the vibes that at some point she's going to turn on her son. I don't know how far or how deep you got to go into the books to get to that point, or if it even happens. That's just a guess that I have. If you got guesses on what do you think is going to happen in the next few Dune movies, go ahead and drop them in the comments below.
believers. This helps Paul ascend as the Fremen's spiritual and military leader. The traditional power structures of Part 1 continue to dominate the world outside the desert. Part 2 introduces the Emperor of the known universe, the most powerful figure
The Emperor, also known as Christopher Walken.
in this world. In Part 1, he secretly conspired with the Harkonnens to destroy House Atreides. Now, rumors of a messianic figure raising an army threatens his rule. The Harkonnens fear they'll lose control over Arrakis if they don't increase spice production, complicated by Paul and the Fremen's attacks. Family is a central theme portrayed through the great houses involved.
Yeah, the I love the, like I said, the political sort of drama that this movie and this series creates is an itch that I didn't need to know, or that I didn't know I needed to have scratched until I realized how political, political, like the series Game of Thrones was. And this sort of hits that same vibe for me. So I'm hoping that with this TV series that we get a lot of that sort of influence on the way the events in the show take place.
Attacks. Family is a central theme portrayed through the great houses involved. In the Emperor's orbit is his daughter, Princess Irulan, an astute political observer who documents the ongoing events. In the Baron's orbit are his nephews, Glossu Raban, who oversees Arrakis operations, and Faid Raotha, a ruthless fighter. In Paul Atreides' orbit are Lady Jessica and her unborn child, who now communicates with them. Paul also develops a relationship with Chani, a Fremen warrior who initially doubts his prophetic status. These factions clash with and among themselves as Paul makes a move for the throne. At this point,
yeah, the drama that you see happening between the Harkonnens is an awesome subplot, because you have people who appear to be not necessarily inherently evil, but willing to do whatever in order to get what they want. And when you have one person, or at least one brother, not doing his job, you had another brother step up to almost challenge the throne. And I hate what happened at the end, because you ended up losing one of the brothers. But I always have a tendency to sort of cheer for the villains, and I kind of want to see the bad guys win at least a little bit. I'll talk more about that later.
it's hard to know Paul's prophetic status. Is he the Kwisatz Haderach, or is Jessica only using Bene Gesserit superstitions to their advantage? Even Paul has his doubts, but then the prophecy comes true. Paul journeys south to attend the Fremen Council, where he claims the title of Duke of Arrakis. To fulfill the prophecy, he had to partake in a water of life ritual. Surviving this
That part where he died and then came back as almost like this more badass version of himself, and more determined and angrier, like it was, I don't know if I like that version of him as much, because I wonder where his, like, is he losing his humanity as he continues to go after each of the houses now moving on, or is he still going to be a good person who eventually will start, as we've seen now, like transition to almost the villain, almost like an Attack of Titan? If this turns out to be like Attack on Titan, I will scream and jump for joy.
This ordeal granted him unprecedented abilities to see all possible futures, which guide all his actions from then on. He also gains ancestral memory. That's how he learns the Baron is Jessica's father. He also
Which was a definite bombshell. I was not expecting that to happen. and to find out that it's definitely all in the family on this movie, and that he's actually a Harkonnen too.
secret stash of atomic weapons hidden by House Atreides. Paul's visions of his rise to power foresee suffering and death for billions across the universe, but he sees no other way forward. He's a prophet to the Fremen, and he's leading them into a holy war. As echoes of war range, our main factions make consequential decisions. At first, the Emperor opts for a strategic non-interventionism, aiming to appear as a peacemaker later.
Which would have been a good strategy if he wasn't dealing with the Harkonnen group, who was also trying to stab him in the back all at the same time. So yeah, I mean, I think it's always a good thing if you want to try to at least seem like you want peace. But we all know at the end of the day what he's really looking for, and that is for him and his family to keep power.
His decision was highly influenced by Princess Irulan, who's a Bene Gesserit and benefits from privileged information she's not allowed to share with her father. On Giddy Prime, the Baron anoints Fade Harkonnen as his successor, intending for him to seize the Imperial crown. The Harkonnens want to overthrow the Emperor. The Bene Gesserits know the Emperor will lose his crown, but they don't know who between Fade and Paul will prevail. Paul
So yeah, they understand that he's going to lose his crown, but they don't know if it's going to be or which side is going to end up gaining it. And I find it interesting that they know certain things, but they don't know all the eventual outcomes. Like Lisan Al Gaib seems to know all the different outcomes, and how there is one sort of narrow path to victory for himself and the Fremen. But you have to wonder about that second part. Is he really just going after success and power for himself? Like, has he come back now from the dead, a different person who has different morals and different goals? I guess we'll have to see.
crown, but they don't know who between Fade and Paul will prevail. Paul contacts the Emperor, who eventually makes his way to Arrakeen, the seat of power on Arrakis. The Emperor convenes the Harkonnens to know who the Prophet is. That's when Paul uses atomics to breach the shield wall, allowing his Fremen army to surround the compound. The battle outside culminates in an intense confrontation inside, with Paul killing the Baron and defeating Fade in a duel. The Emperor surrenders. Paul spares his life and takes Princess Irulan.
I wonder if that's going to come back to haunt him, that he spared the Emperor's life, because I kind of felt like he should have taken him out there, even if he continued with his plan. And I mean, it would be kind of hard to marry the person or the daughter of the man that you killed. But as far as the power structure goes, it would make me real nervous to know that this emperor is still alive and possibly plotting against him and the Fremen as they move forward to try to take over each of the houses.
The Emperor surrenders. Paul spares his life and takes Princess Irulan's hand. This is a strategic move, but it strains his relationship with Chani. The great houses.
Yeah, I think strain is a understatement. Chani was pissed, and at the very end of the movie, you see Paul sort of just flying away while Chani's on her planet, grabbing a worm and taking off. Like, I wonder where they go from there. Like, how do they? Will they eventually end up back together? Is she gonna be like the death of Paul at some point? Is she gonna have to be there to take him out? And like, the only reason why I say that is because it reminds me of Attack on Titan and the way that series sort of ended. And I'm not gonna spoil that, but we know that a person that you love can definitely be a person that if you change enough will have to take you out. So I wonder if that's going to be the eventual end to the Dune movies, but we'll see. If you got theories, drop them below.
Already signaled their intention to reject Paul's claim. Holy War is coming, and the Chosen One might not be the hero he's made out to be. Part 2.
Yeah. So there you have it. Just watched a recap of Dune 2, and you got my comments and what I think, and a little bit of a prediction of what I think is going to happen in the next Dune movie. So if you're watching right now, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and drop a comment below and let me know what you think is going to happen in the next Dune movie. If you got a theory, I need to hear it. My name is JD, and thanks for checking out another episode of Watch Stuff with us. We will be covering Dune Prophecy, the new show on HBO Max, each and every week. I start my streams right at 6:30 p.m. all the way, well, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, all the way up until 8 p.m. Central Time when the show airs on HBO Max. So if you want some people to watch with, come hang out with us and our crew. Peace.